Hello, everyone. I was talking to Gemini about what I might be able to do because, that's what you do when you have no more ideas. And since we are getting an access violation reading location 0, that means something is wrong with the OpenGL state. So I added this line where we're just checking what EBO is currently bound. And again, this is working just fine here, no problems at all. But then we're adding another object and now we have no EBO bound. So I don't know exactly why that happens, but I do know what we can do to solve it. So the error is happening right here when we are creating the buffers. And if you were watching yesterday, you will know that exactly this line is the thing that is creating the issue. We go in here and we can see that we are generating buffer, binding buffer, and setting the buffer data. And for some reason, when I'm doing this here, I guess this is creating a lingering pointer or it's bumping some state somewhere. I'm not sure. But if we take this thing and set it to after we are binding the VAO, which is basically what we were doing before, we were creating this separately and then unbinding everything. And then in the VAO, we are grabbing the buffer and we are doing the bind buffer. Now, if we are doing the same thing, just running it and trying to add, now this works just fine. So like, I don't know actually why that would work like that, but we can say like that should be able to work. To remove this bind buffer because the bind buffer is already called here. But for some reason, when I'm binding it outside of the function, or at least before the VAO, even though I'm calling bind buffer here, something about the state is messed up. So now we are having could not get vertex a trip pointer. Oops. Oh. Now that's interesting. So I have to check side by side here. This bind buffer, it's exactly the same. Like I am, oh, this is the reason why. I see. We are creating the buffer and then we're unbinding it before we are returning. So then I have to bind it again. But then the question is, why is this polluting the state? And again, the thing that is polluted is the text, the thing that is before the thing that I'm creating, this primitive triangle that I'm creating. It's the thing that is before. So I'm not really sure how to deal with that. I have to think about it. It's not really what I want to work on today, but we can add a little comment here to do. Maybe there's something else that I'm should be unbinding, which I'm not really sure. If it's called before the VAO is set. So now we have our triangles. We can create about 1,000 of them. They are having functionality, and everything is good in the world, right? So then my plan for today is to transition into, I want to build a system for making UI. And we do have everything that we need. So we are having rectangles or cuboids. Well, technically this is a cuboid, but it's just like flat. So it's a quad. We have rectangles with textures, and we're having our fonts and text, fonts, everything. And we just need to combine them. And then also we need to have something that is reading input. So I'm thinking if we are having a box like this with a texture, then probably we can get away with just using that box as the button, right? I don't know if I want to do highlights. I think it's enough if like this is a highlight. When I'm hovering my mouse here, it becomes red. I don't know if I care enough to do that. But I do think that having the mouse change to the like finger thing, that could be a good thing to do. Although if you would be using this on mobile, then it is nice to have the confirmation where you click. So then maybe you have two textures or possibly more textures. We do have multiple textures that we could support with an entity. But there is one problem. I hate when I do that. There is one problem, and that is that we currently can't really associate entities with each other. So I have my draw function at the bottom here. And all the draw is doing, it's looping over every entity and checking if they are having a mesh and position. And then if it does, then it's trying to draw it. And similarly, when we're updating the game, we're going through every entity and we're checking if it has some functionality. And if it does, we are running that function. We need to transition out of this in order to have child objects so that we can tie multiple entities together. Some things might need to be, you might need to put entities together that have nothing to do with each other, but they should be sharing the position, for example. And you would like to move them around as one thing. And then you also have to consider the draw order. So right here, you can see that the text, it's a little bit hard to see, but the text is above the rectangle. And that is important because if you're having a button, you don't want to draw the texture on top of the text. So we need to think about how to actually deal with that. And I have one idea that, again, it's going to break everything, but I think probably we need to do it. So I'm going to make a second struct here. Maybe there. And then the question is, what do we call it? Do we call it composite? It's kind of long, annoying. Group, node, object. Does object make sense? I don't know. Is that the convention? What is the difference between entities and objects? An object is an instance of a class that combines data and behavior together. That's not really what we're looking for. We're just looking to combine entities because the entities are doing everything that we need. We just need to have a way of associating with them together so that we can manage them together. Group. Let's call it group for now. It's not, I'm not married to that name. But the group would be just a list of entity pointers. And maybe a position. Because all these children would be positioned in relation to the parent. And then we have some maximum amount of children. I think 15 is going to be cover every case that we can think of. 128. Maybe 7. 56. 7 children, that's enough, I think. Because the purpose of this is to have one thing that is the player character. It's the, you know, it's the chest that you can open, and then inside is something, but it also has the hitbox and it has the mesh of the box itself. I think 7 is going to be enough. If it's too small, I guess we can make it larger. And then I'm also going to say that the order of the children is the draw order. So the 0th child is the one that is being drawn first, and the 7th child, or 8th, I guess, the 7th child will be the one that's drawing last. So if they're all on the same plane, one is always drawn on top. We will see when if this works. But that means that instead of drawing entities, we will be drawing the groups. So how do we start doing that? In our game, we need to have our and I guess we need to do exactly the same thing. Now we're doing this management 3 times. Where we're adding the size of the group. We're adding the free slot stuff. Oh well. Let's just make it and see if we even like this system. It might not be worth it. And before I do that, let's just push it real quick. So memory allocate. So we are doing something very similar here. Do I need this stride? I don't really need that. What did I specifically do here? I just did exactly the same thing. But I do need to set... No, it should all be 0. Good. So now we have that. We have our entity add, right? Or entity create. We are doing exactly the same thing, but with group. And this is the thing, I'm not really sure. I want to, maybe I should generalize this a little bit because this is getting annoying. State, we don't really have an EID. Slots. Group. Active count. doesn't have any components. Although are we going to have entities that are not part of a group? Entities could be shared, potentially. It's just data. It could be drawn twice, for example. Like, let's say I create one entity for a coin. Then I can just reuse that and draw it a bunch of times with different positions. So maybe I'm doing multiple things here, but I think this makes sense. Oops. When we are creating, or rather, when we are associating an entity with a group, we're adding a user. And then when we are removing it, we are removing the user. And then, like, similar to what I was doing here, users, although I never used it. The buffer users. Let's delete that because it's completely unused. But the concept, I think, is good. And we are having array count. So for count, array count, target. Hmm? You see that I can't just copy paste. Where am I using this? Here. This is after. This is not really relevant. But why? Okay. Target the children. We have, for example, 7 children. We're looping over all of them. And then we are saying, users minus minus. If e.users is equal to 0, then we delete entity destroy. Huh? Why are you telling me that this is undeclared? Is it above me? Okay. I should rearrange this a little bit. Right. So we destroy it, and the entity destroy function is responsible for destroying the components as well. The components can just be, they don't have to be shared. It's a little bit overkill. So that is all I need to do really, except for renaming the rest. So group count, active, free slot. Cool. Now we go to our entity create. We probably shouldn't create it like this. We should have something like I32 group create rectangle. And then we're doing all of this. This is our function call. In here, group create. We need the state. Do we need more? What more you need? Is it below me again? Oh. We're creating our group. And then the first entity is equal to entity create and all of this. Okay. We can add, you know, the position and everything here later. But this is enough for testing. So let's, instead of going through all of the entities, we are going through groups instead. So we don't care about this anymore. We are doing groups, or We are iterating through every group for every child. Entity E equals G dot or G children of J, and that's already a pointer. And then we are back to, we draw entities with mesh IDs. No, let's not care about that. And then we are back to what we were doing, except if we do need to add some if G is equal to a null pointer, since, you know, maybe we have holes, we just continue. And same thing, if the E is a null pointer, we also continue. And then finally, if E has a mesh, if E doesn't have a mesh, we also continue. So now we should only be drawing the rectangle. Let's see how that goes. Yes. Now the other entities still exist. They're just not being drawn because they're not managed. So let's put the position here maybe. Scale. I'm just setting that here. That's another place that I need to replace the scale. Yeah, let's not care about it for now. Let's just add the other things again. In game. So we have I32 entity, or no. What are we doing here? Entity creates state group. Button or UI button. So for a UI button, you need a rectangle. We might actually even do a function here. I know that I'm writing a lot, but it might make more sense. I'm just testing things out. That makes sense, right? Entity create. We add a position. No scale for now. And then we add some textures. So we call the same function as for the debug rectangle, except we have some different parameters. And remember, the first entity is drawn first, and then the second one is drawn second, etc. So this child, the 0th child, is first, and then we do children 1 equals entity create text, something like that. For now, we're just putting this default texture. Create text. We haven't made it yet. Again, we ignore the scale and everything for now. Again, we're keeping this just for now. Really? This is not const? Ah. Okay. Game. I don't even need to fill that in. That's fine. This one, let's just put this command in this function right now. State position command. And that should be it, maybe. Warning. Oh. It's all good. I haven't decided if I'm going to return the group pointer here. Okay, look at that. Now they are a little bit funny looking because I haven't really sized them to be the same. Oh. So that is working. So then I need a little bit more flexibility. Like I said, I need the size. So like ideally, I would set the position of the group, but then the children should be at the 0 position. I shouldn't actually put in, like I'm creating this group, right? And actually this group should take a position, I guess. An entity position, which, I mean, true. Add position. Doesn't really work that way. I need to think about that. The entities are not really aware of who their parent is. So this is not really doing very much right now. We will get to it. So we're creating that group. And I guess we can add a position. Was it not called position? Translation? We'll keep this for now. Yeah, actually this position should be 0. Because I want them both to be 0 relative to the group. But in my update function, what is the problem here? Group create, well, in my group create here, I need to know the parent's position. And I guess, so right now the update is running all the functions. You can see here we're processing messages from the operating system, like, rescaling the window. And then create rotate. Yeah, this is just my input for creating a new entity. We haven't really changed this so far. Deleting an entity. And then here we are running the functionality. And that's separate from calculating the position of the entities. And we don't really need to calculate the position if we're not going to draw it, and we only draw it if it's part of a group. But the functionality could still technically be running. I don't really see a reason to combine them right now. We're going to do something very similar here, like in OpenGL. We are going to do this. If G is nothing, we continue. Otherwise, we go for all the children. And also, let's remember, or actually, I can just access it. We're looping through all of the children. And then we're doing this. Oh, here actually. If it has a mesh, no member named assert. Oh no, I'm having G is already the global. It should not be called G. And then my macro probably is messed up. Yeah, G assert. Where is this? Where is it defined? It's not assert.a. Didn't here. I'm never referring it by G, so using a single character variable name was kind of dumb. But now it's working again, I hope. Game init, global. Anyway, this translation, again, we're doing the translation plus this order doesn't matter, but we are translating it by the child position and the parent position to get the like world position. Maybe we call this world translation. See how that looks. Okay, interesting. Hmm. Let's take a look at. Probably it's a good time to rewrite the primitive. So this thing, we need This is the scale. So we need a V2 scale. Wait, V2 size? Oh, that's just the function pointer. Well, we need to know the size. Okay, we're getting closer. Let's put this at 100 and 100, and this can go at like 500. Mhm. Now you might see that this one is centered around here, and this one is centered here. Or is it? Is this centered at the bottom? I'm giving them the same position, so they would be in the same place. So anyway, we are calculating the bounding box, or I want to calculate the bounding box, and then I want to center both the text and the rectangle so that I can put them together, essentially. But I don't think am I calling this anywhere? I'm not calling it at all. But the mesh has the bounding box. And I have the mesh. Really? I have the mesh here. I guess it's included somewhere else somehow. Anyway, this, I don't think it has a function pointer here or declaration. So yeah, vertex. It's the V's and the I's. No, it's not the I's. In these vertex count. And we need to do the same thing for the normal mesh create. The vertexes are... Oh, we're grabbing it. So we can't do that here. Ooh, interesting. So because of the way I'm drawing text, it's not as straightforward as just looping through all of the vertices and grabbing the largest values or smallest values. Instead, I have to do it somewhere here. I'm going through every character. And I get this. And then I'm going through every character again. But every character is drawn from left to right, and I have the width size X. And that's how I'm getting the total width to be able to line break. Did this one? I think I have to insert it here. Where can I put it? I can put it here. And I'm doing the same thing-ish. They are exactly the same. Z is always going to be 0, so we don't need to deal with that at all. The minimum is always going to be on the left, since we're drawing like that. So we only have to check the offset, because again, this is our glyph. It's drawn within a box, and we're drawing that from the bottom left corner, I believe. So the offset X and offset Y we can use for the minimum X and Y. And then for maximum, here we have to get the size, which is glyph shapes I. dot size x. I think that's good. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I think yeah. So now we can see that the minimum is 0 and minus 84 pixels, and the maximum is 1425 and 0. Are we drawing from the top left? I guess we'll find out. And the reason why it's 1000 is because I forget to multiply by the font scale here. Oops. Size Y. That looks very reasonable. I might be remembering wrong that this origin is actually up here, but we will find that out fairly easily. So we need to store that somewhere. The font shape doesn't deal with this mesh. So I guess we just have to add a pointer to it. alphabet.h. Do we already have the mesh? No, the mesh is from there. I'm not terrible happy about that because now I have to do mesh.boundingbox equals pb. And I have to remember to zero initialize it here. Yeah. No weird crashes or anything. So now that we have the bounding box, and we should be able to have it in the game here. Text create or something. Add font. Yeah, here. You can see that the mesh has the bounding box with the correct values there. And now we can do where is it? Font entity create text. Yeah, here we go. I want to do this bounding center. What was it? Mesh dot. Oh. We're passing this mesh to the center. The center is not doing anything right now, but that's about to change. So first we're getting the center point. And now we take the delta between the current center point, sort of, and the one we just calculated, which is the like halfway point. That would be box 0. And then finally, we are calling mesh anchor set. In 3 dimensions, we're doing this. Let's see if it did anything. Okay, we're doing something. Is it over here? We need to center the box as well, this rectangle. Oh. So yeah, I think it's anchored at the very top. Actually, this should be to the right. $850, $700. Hmm. I think that's more accurate. But is this also opposite? No. It's definitely this way. We have 2 children. Position 0 for both of them. The mesh is having this bounding box. So this is already centered. Why is it 300 then? $150. That is 300. Is that really it? I feel like it should be the other opposite way, but I guess I'm proven wrong. Because this is at 500. But you can see that the text is still not centered. Maybe it was the correct way, the first way around. That did nothing. Huh? Okay, I guess we have to check. What is our bounding box? I'm a little bit confused. So let's try. Let's try this. We're moving it up, which is correct, but we're not moving it up enough. Right. Because I would expect the center point to be on this line, but for some reason it's up here. Is it minus? No. Wait. Hold up. Did I think I messed something up there. It's still not enough. It's like this didn't make any difference. Hmm. Why is there no difference? Are they equivalent? But they shouldn't be. Huh? Minus 84. From 0 to minus 84. Why does this not make a difference? because it's exactly the same value. All right, I need to take a quick break. I'll be right back. I am back with some vegan jalapeno tirolini. My wife in the background just saying tralalero tralala. The hell? Trilo, tirolino tralala. Yeah. I'm just trying to have a snack. So I guess we have to look at the alphabet function. Why is this size y equals 0? That doesn't make any sense. Uh-huh. There is one more option. When we are generating the glyph map, we are generating this. And then this is stored as this vertex font. So maybe we don't care about the shape, we care about the vertex font. Which I think should be here somewhere. No? There's a different issue too, though. Imagine this. You're having your text, you're typing A, B, C, D, E, D, right? So now you're looking at the size, the absolute size of this. That's going to work in this case because the A fills in the entire thing. But now imagine because this doesn't have, like, this is centered between this line and this line. So the center line is in the middle, which is right there, which looks good. Here, the center line goes on the top, it's fine, but on the bottom, it's down here. So now the entire thing is shifted down, and if you would draw these next to each other, they would look like they are in the wrong place. So maybe this method is just not very good. It works for the edges left and right. I'm assuming in most languages. But this line, it has a special name. I forget what it is. I don't know, maybe vertical kerning. But it's related to this middle line. And when you're making a font, you're designing it around these base, around these lines. So in order to center something, you have to center it around the middle line. Where is the middle line? I have no idea. Now, what I'm doing at the moment is I think I'm getting the difference between the descender line and the cap line. And that's my line break spacing. And that works in almost every case. So when it's one line, should I take the reason why it's 0 is because or it's the height of the font. No, I'm not sure. I am not sure. What I could do is rather than grabbing this, I will be grabbing line break height. Okay. Oh. Yep, yep. Let's go. Damn it. So again, this line roughly should line up with this line. And it's not. But it's not this part. Let's take a look here. Well, here it's just minus 84 plus 84, so it's 0. And the max becomes 0. Wait. Now it's going to be a big difference. Ooh, that's so close. What I want. Now you can see that this baseline is exactly in the middle. So in order to center it, I want to do minus 1/2. So that would be times 0.5. Yes, but here again, because of the descenders, maybe there's just no good way of doing this in the middle. Maybe I just have to kind of accept that the center is at the baseline. Oops, I forget to compile. I think that's the best I'm gonna achieve, really. On a practical level, that is the center of the line, because you have ascenders, descenders right there. So then I can center it, and then I can do something like mesh anchor set or well, if we assume that this is something smart we can do. We center the text, and then we grab the children mesh bounding box plus some small amount, like 0.25 times the children mesh we're doing basically the same as the bounding box. Yes, not C++, not Rust, not C#. That's correct. In mesh.c, this thing. So we're grabbing this bounding box. Actually, it is the mesh that you're getting. No, I'm I'm confusing myself. This mesh, yes, true. And we're moving it by some amount. Zero. And here we're doing this calculate. H2 or something like that. So I'm just guessing that it's based on the font size and everything. But we are giving 0, adjust 0. Offset. Too many arguments? I am crazy. What is crazy about writing C? C is like the most popular language in the world. Maybe not for new code, but for code that for code that is running. What made me choose C? Or I wouldn't even say code that is running, but like, you know, like the entire Windows and Linux kernel are written in C. Like every server is written in C. Like most servers, like any server that people are actually using. Like there's a lot of C code. Anything running, you know, this thing is running C. So, of course, people are building things on top of it, but that's a different story. I chose C because it has everything that I need, and it's the way that I like to design, or the way that I like to write programs. It's just very clear and how should I say it? It's very straightforward. Like you read, here is my create UI button function, and it's very straightforward. I create some group that I have created, like this is my structure, right? And then I have some textures. I'm getting this index, and then I have a command into a JSON file. So I grab, you know, this text right here using that. And it's just like step 1, step 2, step 3. It's like following a recipe. And, you know, that's enough to create almost anything. Yeah, even when I'm programming in higher level languages, it's just how I like to program stuff because it makes sense to me. I don't like abstracting things that don't need to be abstracted. Because have you ever opened up a program and you're stepping through it, and then instead of doing this, instead of stepping through it like this thing and then this, that thing is running, that thing is running, that and that and that, you know, in one list, just like this is what happens. Instead, have you had this happen where you are, well, I can't open the source of that, but it's just jumping around because like everything is inheriting from its like other things, and you have a bunch of functions that are doing one thing. Like it's crazy. You can't figure out anything in a program like that. So I have very long, straightforward, like do this kind of function step by step. This is the recipe list of creating a UI button. And then I call that with the parameters, and you know, that's it. So anyway, let's actually test how that looks. I think it's the wrong direction. So maybe do minus 0.25, or actually, let's try that. I think that might be actually better. Maybe it's just too much. 10%. Maybe it's positive after all. Oh, that's pretty close. So again, this exact value depends on the size of the font. Is that centered? I'm gonna have to bring out my paint skills. So this is about 67 pixels. And so this should also be about that. It's not 52. Is that centered? It looks like it's too high. Okay. I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get it. Again, if I have something specific, right now I'm just like trying to make something that works. But if I'm making something specific that I'm like trying to finalize, then I'm gonna do a little bit more than just, you know, some magic value 0.07 multiplied by like some adjust value. But that is good enough for now. The last thing that I want to do is I want to make this clickable. And I think I mentioned at the start of the stream that just having the box itself be clickable should be enough. Let's make this wider also so that it actually covers the entire text. 550. You can see also it's not perfectly centered left to right. Oof. Why is it not? I forget a little bit where to look for it. But essentially, this function works in a way where if I'm drawing left to right, I'm drawing it as in the way that I get back the characters from KV. If I'm drawing it right to left, I'm drawing it backwards. So you can see that, yeah, here, flip the memory around. I was having a lot of struggles until I did this. And then I'm getting the width because I'm doing line breaks. So I know the width. And this width is based on the offset, like the actual X position where I'm drawing from, and the size. But did I not change the text layout to be RTL sometimes? Did I give up? There's no RTL. MDL? See, the thing is, if it's a left to right text, and I'm drawing that, then the anchor is still here on the left. If I'm drawing right to left, the anchor is here. I'm drawing it like this. But then if I want to draw it right to left, I take this entire thing and I shift it to the right, like here. But for some reason, something is messing up. Could it be... I'm creating the text here. I'm setting MDL as the layout. On. What am I missing here? This is definitely being drawn left to right. And you might even notice from this center line, it's not being drawn flush to that. But I would expect that when I'm setting MDL to middle, style. On shape, style. +1 style layout equals MDL. I think I'm doing something wrong here. Let's set this to LTR. It's always a speedrun to close the application. I forget. So now it's RTL. You can see this is flush. And actually, let me even put it. Let me put it higher up so it's very easy to tell. Anchor, not center. Set this thing. Oops. 0. I don't know, 50. I just want it to be a little bit higher up. Yes. Now you can see this is flush, like exactly in line with this. Perfect. Now we try RTL. Why is it all the way over there? I think it's being shifted the wrong way. No, I know what's going on. Now I remember. Okay. So again, paint is the savior here. So when I create my text, I am setting a size. I'm saying from here up to this point, you are drawing the text in between there. Now, when it's left to right, it's being flush here because this is the line. Or no, it was like this, wasn't it? All right. I think I was doing this for Arabic. The point is, it's kind of messed up. I should set LTR. It should be there, flush with this line. Mm. It should be flush with this line there, or Alt LTR. It should be flush with this one for RTL, and it should be here. But then my bounding box is this thing. This is the bounding box. Am I setting it to be at position 0 or something? Like, what's going on there? Hmm. So I think I am not adjusting this, which I should. Then when I do MDL, like it looks like it's just off of this, but actually I think it's between here, and then it's in the middle. Oh, let's try creating multiple UI buttons to test. I don't care about this rectangle. This can be at 100, or no, I want them to be above each other. So they can be all at 700. and then put this one at 100, 400, 900. And then we can give it a file. Did I really? Maybe 500. No, it's still off. Still kind of messed up. So the errors you can see here, aside from this being left to right, and it's obviously right to left, this is center, which is, this looks okay-ish, but it's offset. And then this one is RTL, and this is just wrong. I don't know. But here you have a space that should be up here. So this space is offsetting this entire line, which is wrong. This one looks probably fine-ish. And then this one, I don't know why it looks like that. Now, if we change the language, maybe it will look better. A little bit long intro to. So this is correct. You can see this is, it's not perfectly flush, but that's because of the font. That's not because of the placement. This is centered and this is right aligned. I didn't realize that was messed up in Arabic. So that's something I need to fix. Anyway, I need this width. So let's go and do the anchoring again in the center. See what happens. And that's messed up again. And the reason why is because I don't think this is actually the right way of doing it. Let's do if 0 on this one. I think we can reason us into the values here without calculating them, because the minimum x is always going to be 0. And the y is always going to be, well, let's say 0. I don't know. It's not called min. And then similarly, the max. This is the height. And the style.width. Kind of. Is it that simple? Did I just waste an hour? You know, that's actually pretty good. Mhm. It's adjusted in the wrong direction. But because my coordinate system is from the bottom, so this should be correct. It's just not enough. Because it should be this height also. How did I get that? Exactly the same. Plus the minimum Y. Okay. Yes, offset. But that is... I'm not really sure. I need this offset Y? Minus 60. Why is it minus 60? Where's this coming from? What if I do this? Oh. Why? What is the issue? What is the relationship here? Is that correct? I know I'm just kind of brute forcing it. Maybe this is the wrong thing I'm tracking. I'll be your rubber duck. Explain the problem to me. Well, I have explained the problem plenty of times. Now we're back to where we were before. So, style.width. Which one was it? Size here. Now I have no issue. I just had to find the correct, I had to brute force the right formula. But this is exactly what I wanted. Now we have left alignment, center, and right alignment. We can do it smaller so that this becomes 400. Okay. We can make the height here to be style.height. See how that looks. Oops. Interesting. Okay. So we are drawing from the bottom there. That's not what I want. And here, I don't know where the rectangle is. What happened to it there? I wanted to be on the first line. Like part of this is just decisions because I couldn't decide the center to be anywhere I want. Why is this incorrect? Am I just 800, 200? It's all the same. Oh, I see. So because I am the height here is calculated after file after making the triangle. We can change that. Okay. Style. When after we are creating text, the style should be it should have a set Y size. I'm kind of running out of steam, guys. we're calling this, we have the style. Notice that the height is 0, but then we call the create text function, and now it's set. So then when we are creating the rectangle, wait. Oh, I see. This is just debug code, so it doesn't really matter. Annoying. The point is, this is centered, but it should be centered between here and here if it's multiple lines. If it's one line, it should be centered maybe on the bottom line. And then for some reason, my Arabic translation is not game in main. This one is completely wrong. You can see that they are like, it's not completely wrong, but they need to be shifted to be actually left to right. Yeah, it's pass by value, exactly. I was thinking that I was passing the pointer to style, not that I was passing the value of style before I even entered the function. So yeah, obviously this doesn't work. I need to change that. But that's going to have to be another day. I'm still very happy with the progress for this because I was a little bit scared of creating and changing the structure to be a group that I'm drawing instead of an entity mesh. But I think it's going to work out just fine. Now, it is a couple of orders of separation, but I'm not really sure if there's a way around it. We have the group, we have the entity, and then we have the components. And I don't know, maybe it makes sense to reuse some things, but also I don't think we're going to expand on this anymore because anything that we can draw with a group is going to, like, that's going to be the end of it. And then if I'm having an entity mesh, the mesh can have a skeleton. It doesn't need any extra pointers. So I'm going to call it there, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, you can as always, git pull or git clone https://gitlab.com/ems.mastronaut. That's the link. If you want to take a look, have a try. Yeah.